All right, boys. This is my annual appeal for donations. No, I'm kidding. So, enshittification. Why bother talking about enshittification? There's no enshittification going on right now. Everything is fine. Everything's cool. So, quick blog about what's going on. My phone is due for upgrade in like 10 days, and I thought I had the option between like a Pixel or an iPhone 15 or a Z Flip or S24, and it turns out I really only get two choices. I get the S24 Plus or the Z Flip 5. So yeah, I'm dealing with that with my carrier right now. That's gonna be very fun because for some reason my phone, I got like an S21, and it's worth an $1,000 trade in if I get a Samsung, but it's only worth $350 if I switch to iPhone. So I'm just gonna stick with Samsung. for price wise. But why do I have a picture of this girl on the screen? This beautiful, amazing woman who is yeah. Anyways, this is my appeal for free software yet again, because enshittification is something that comes for all of us. I wanted to talk a bit about DaVinci Resolve, why I don't recommend DaVinci Resolve, even though it's quote the only option for Linux video editing right now. I use Kden Live just fine. I mean, obviously I don't edit these videos, but I have another channel where I do. And Kden Live works even for like an hour long render. I mean, it's fine. FFmpeg, that's another option, of course, if you need fucking CUDA, but these simps that go for DaVinci Resolve, like it's the only fucking option. Like, yeah, maybe for you it is, but also you have this problem where we're using a Linux binary on something that's proprietary, and the problem DaVinci's having is because they don't really give a shit about Linux. You might think they do because they have a Linux binary, but actually what happens is they what would you call it? They don't give a shit about AMD, which is a huge part of the Linux desktop market share. Uh, it just doesn't really want to work on AMD, and they also barely support Linux. I mean, like the bare fucking minimum, you know? So the problem with proprietary software is when you are a slave to a company by using their software, whatever they choose to support, you're going to be stuck with. So I highly recommend against using anything super proprietary for this case. But the like even though so fucking Affinity, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about. Don't fucking use Affinity software. I don't give a shit if you're looking for like a Photoshop alternative. Fucking learn to use GIMP or Krita or whatever else, you know? Like this whole bullshit about fuck Adobe. It's like, yeah, but I gotta run your fucking software in Wine, so what's that fucking tell you? Like, how do I even know that Affinity 3 is gonna work on Linux? And by the way, I gotta pay for it again when that comes out, which could be fucking next month, you know? Like, how the fuck do I know it's proprietary, you know? So, with proprietary software comes the problem that one, you are a slave to enshittification. If they want to update their app to have some bullshit or just break shit, you know, like I was looking for a pinball application for like little virtual pinball, you know, because 3D pinball space cadet gets kind of boring after a while. So I was like, oh, there's this one called I forget what the fuck it's called. Anyways, but they had a Linux version and it works, but they broke it on AMD. So you were fucked if you had an AMD card, which is kind of ironic. You know, you would think it would work just fine, but no, it depends on your fucking software vendors. And if your vendor is a proprietary piece of shit, then yeah, good luck with that. Because the thing with Linux is that when there's a reason why shit on Linux is open source, you know? When you put proprietary shit on Linux, you're as a company, you're really setting yourself up for failure because not only do you have to package it for 100 different fucking distributions or Flatpak, but what you also need to do is you have to support two fucking different display protocols, Xorg and Wayland. You have to support, if your thing has audio, you gotta support ALSA, Jack, Pipewire, and Pulse Audio. If you're whatever the what else? You got to support both AMD and Nvidia, and now you have to support Intel too if you're on a newer kernel. And you have to You have to deal with bugs coming from people on fucking Debian stable. At least if your package is packaged in the next fucking 4 years on Debian stable, then you have to deal with bug reports from people that are running a version like 2 years out of date. You know, so there's a lot of bullshit that comes with developing for Linux, and if you are taking a proprietary approach, you are going to be in trouble because it's not like Windows where everything's just a one size fits all. You know, you have to deal with Windows bullshit, but at least you know everybody on Windows has the same APIs, has the same graphic stack, has the same display or desktop environment, has the same display manager, everything, you know, whatever. You know that your sound's gonna work, your graphics are gonna work, everything's gonna work, you know? And that's why I'm not too concerned with people switching from dedicated Linux games to Wine games because Wine cuts out a lot of this bullshit. You know, I've tried to run Linux native applications from Steam that just don't work, you know? And I'm like, why? I'm running fucking Ubuntu. Why does this not work? And yeah, it just depends, you know? So I really don't like this idea that we are not only encouraging proprietary software use on Linux because, oh, I'm a fucking professional, I need to use the proprietary software to get my fucking YouTube channel off the ground. No, fuck you. You don't need to. You can fucking edit your shit in Kdenlive like a normal fucking person and just deal with it fucking crashing. Oh my god. Don't put so much bullshit in your editing. How about that? How about that to start off with? You know, fucking make your video simple. It's a fucking YouTube channel. What the? You don't need to. You don't need to make like the next fucking Hollywood bullshit. You don't have to have like your own studio for this shit. You know, doesn't fucking change the problem that your content's boring as shit and I don't want to watch it. Oh my god. I was talking to Matt from the Linux cast a while ago, and I was like, "Hey, we should." He was like, "I don't have any ideas for videos." I'm like, "Why don't you make one on muscle?" And he's like, "That's too nerdy." I'm like, "What the fuck you mean it's too nerdy? You use Linux, motherfucker." But anyways, yeah. So that's why I don't really subscribe to many Linux YouTube channels because I don't really need all that fucking editing bullshit. I mean, I can barely listen to myself talk. I don't know how you guys do it day in and day out, but I guess you do. So anyways, I'm probably gonna get banned for putting this girl on the screen, but she's kind of my representation for shit's getting really hard. I really don't like the way software is going, and I really hate that we're using proprietary software to kind of put a band-aid on the problems that doing like professional work on Linux has. It's just not a solution. I mean, like, just get that shit out of your head right now, you know? Start using what is available and ensure that you're supporting free software development because free software on Linux is very important, and that's what people don't get is that when you're dealing with so much different bullshit, you need to have a community of people to test your shit before it goes out. And it is why I'm always kind of baffled that especially like smaller projects would just decide not to be open source. Like, but if you're open source, that means people can like be free QA testing because I mean they're gonna test your fucking product regardless as a customer, you know. Why not leverage your customer base as a QA base or as a testing base? They can be just as good, if not better, than a paid employee. And anyways, yeah, enshittification. That was supposed to be the topic of this video. But I mean, you've seen how that shit goes. You know, you've seen what happens when proprietary software updates, especially software as a service, where YouTube gets a new update and suddenly like your playlists don't work. That's what's been happening to me. And Gray J's fucking doesn't want to work at all. So yeah, I haven't been able to use that in a while. I may end up just switching to piped in the meantime, or like new pipe or some shit. I don't even know. But I just need like a way to watch videos with background play on my phone, and usually I watch them in my browser. So I'm gonna work on that. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out real quick since this just keeps getting worse, and it, and I feel like we're going in the wrong direction. You know, I feel like that this bullshit of using proprietary software in order to fix the problems we're having is not sustainable. I don't think the companies really give a shit, even if they say they give a shit. I don't think they do because if they did, they would be open source, you know, or they would have some way to contribute. And I don't see that in the software we're using now. So I'm gonna stick to the free solution, and people don't fucking like it, whatever. Like, fucking use whatever I hate that fucking argument too. Use whatever works best for you. Like, bullshit. Because if you use if you use what was best for you, you would fucking use Windows. So that isn't a solution either. We are making sacrifices when we switch over to free software. It is not the super expensive professional multi-billion-dollar company bullshit that you get on Windows that you have to pay for. It's not the shit you get on Mac OS, but hey, it is free, not as in free beer, but as in freedom, and that is what we need to strive for. So maybe I'm the only fucking Linux channel that actually records all their shit in Linux. But that's that's just me. Anyways, no, I'm sure that there's other channels that do that are even more effort than mine. But this is kind of my personal gripe. And anyways, I think that's about enough. I'll see you guys later. Thanks.